Is a war between Ukraine and Russia on the cards? Can it really happen? Even as a ceasefire agreement has been arrived upon, tensions are soaring at the Ukraine-Russia border. This even as stakeholders and many others are trying to contain the situation. As many as 100,000 Russian troops have remained amassed at the Ukrainian border, despite warnings from US President Joe Biden and European leaders of serious consequences should Putin move ahead with an invasion. Experts believe that a full-scale conflict between the two sides is unlikely. But what is the reason for the recent crisis, and can India be impacted? Let's simplify for you. What triggered Ukraine-Russia conflict? Ukraine was part of the Russian Empire. It won its independence after the USSR or the Soviet Union broke up in the year 1991. It then moved to shed its Russian imperial legacy and forge increasingly close ties with the West. Now, the crisis technically started in November 2013. It all happened with Ukraine's inner protests. The pro-Putin Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych had refused to join the EU and rather joined the Russian-led Eurasian Economic Union. This led to massive clashes called the Euromaidan movement. Eventually, the Ukrainian president was removed. After that, Ukraine moved forward to strengthen its Western ties and wanted to be a part of NATO, that is North Atlantic Treaty Organization. For America and for the European Union, Ukraine is a crucial buffer between Russia and Europe, also the West. On 7th Feb 2019, the Ukrainian parliament amended its constitution in order to allow the country to join NATO and the European Union. But Russia didn't want Ukraine to join an alliance they consider an anti-Russia military alliance. Russia has asked for assurance that Ukraine will not join the group's defense alliance and asked that they do not expand any further east. It also wants NATO to withdraw from Eastern Europe. Russia may invade Ukraine if this assurance isn't given. But if Russia and Ukraine go to war, who will win? Let's take a look at their military strengths. According to Global Firepower 2021, Russia is way stronger than Ukraine. Therefore, Kyiv needs support from NATO. Russia has 30,14,000 troops, of which 10,14,000 are active. Ukraine has 11,55,000 troops, of which 2,55,000 are active. A comparison of fighter and attack aircrafts: Ukraine has 67, Russia 1,531. Attack helicopters: Ukraine 34, Russia 538. Tanks: Ukraine 2,430, Russia 13,000. Armored vehicles: Ukraine 11,435, Russia 27,100. Towed artillery: Ukraine 2,040, Russia 4,465. Smaller warships: Ukraine 13, Russia 214. How Russia could fight against Ukraine? Russia today has carried out one of the largest military deployments since the Second World War. It has deployed over 100,000 soldiers at the Ukrainian border, threatening the use of conventional force. The West thinks Russia will strike, and if it does, what would this war look like? Cyber war. The opening salvos of a ground offensive would be a massive cyber attack on Ukrainian cyber and tech infrastructure. On January 23rd, US Homeland Security warned of a Russian cyber attack against the US. This could target Ukraine too. Multi-axis attack. Russian forces could attack from Belarus, Russia, Donbass, that's Ukrainian territory held by pro-Russian forces, and from Crimea. A multi-axis attack encircles defending forces and captures territory. The ground offensive. Russia will use artillery, armored formations of tanks and infantry, combat vehicles and air power to destroy defenses, capture territory and encircle defenders. How the US and EU have responded. The US, the UK and the European Union have warned Russia that it would face further crippling sanctions should it decide to invade Ukraine. But Russia is already used to operating under such sanctions. Meanwhile, the US and UK have also ordered withdrawal of their diplomatic staff from embassies in Kiev. While the US and UK favor more punitive action against Russia's economy should it invade Ukraine, there is hesitation in some European countries because of economic or diplomatic reasons. How will this impact India? If Moscow again takes military action against Ukraine, it will complicate India's efforts to maintain balance between its partnerships with the US, with the European Union, and with Russia. However, Delhi could continue to maintain its posture as it did after the annexation of Crimea by Russia, of neither openly criticizing nor endorsing Russian action. Also, the war would hinder India's interest in preventing a further deepening of Russia's ties with China. Potential Russian military action against Ukraine and Western backlash would mean that Moscow will need Beijing's diplomatic support even more. While India has maintained a diplomatic silence, it has, however, asked Indian citizens to register themselves at the Indian embassy in Kiev.